Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and Klein Tools has what I believe is a very nice and very welcome entry into actual EDC pocket knives. This they call the Klein Tools fishing pocket knife, which I think is a pretty stupid name, but not as dumb as the one I'm going to give it. I'm going to call it the Klein Tools Benchmade. I could call it the Klein Tools Spyderco or the Klein Tools Spidermade or Benchco or something, but basically it has very strong hints of both Benchmade and Spyderco. It sells for under $50, which isn't bad, and it's got a real steel blade. I mean, a steel with a name. It does have kind of this reinforced, nylon reinforced plastic handle. Nothing super fancy about it. It is skeletonized on the inside, probably some sort of stainless pressed out steel, and then it's reinforced here along the bottom and the top, kind of the business end where the pivot is, as well as what is absolutely an axis lock or a cross lock. Now this is a solid design, strong spring, great lockup, easily flips open and closed. You know, as long as that's legal in your jurisdiction, great. You can also open it with, you know, flicks of the finger. Get one here going. This is a strong spring, as I mentioned, so you have to overcome that. Or, of course, you can hold it by the blade and flick it open. But what else? Well, it's got a pretty significant relation, you know, to what I think is the Spyderco blade. Others, you know, this is the closest Benchmade blade I have on this Nakamura, which is actually fairly similar in design. I love a good thumb ramp right here. This one's really strong. This hole is huge. Obviously, Spyderco is into their Spidey holes, but they also make a line they call Bird, which is kind of their Chinese-made Spydercos, that has a different hole in the top, but still retains that shape. I'm going to give the nod more to Benchmade qualities here than Spyderco's. However, this blade, which not only looks like a Spyderco blade, I believe, is also made, if you look at this close right here, you can see this is AUS-8 stainless steel, and if you look at this close, this is, right here, AUS-8 stainless steel. So essentially the same steel, very similar profile, similar big head at the front. Spyderco doesn't, on this one anyway, jimp the thumb ramp there, but it's obviously quite pronounced. I like the handle, even though it's just, I mean, they should have done G10. I would have paid a few extra bucks for G10 just to get away from the kind of the plastic sound, but it's pretty solid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standouts holding this thing together. It's pretty substantial. In fact, on the thickness side, it's not too different than my Mini Adamus here, which is a pretty stout knife. If you compare it kind of to some traditional ones, this is the classic Benchmade Mini Griptilian, you know, ballpark of the swelliest part of that maybe. Does have a reversible pocket clip, you know, right or left hand carry. Fairly stout. There's a lot of steel on that compared to the spring of a lot of other pocket clips. I was impressed with that. This does have a funny name though. They call it the fishing pocket knife, and I'm not sure why. It is made in Taiwan. Maybe the Taiwanese fish are different. But if I was fishing, actually my preference would be more something like this for a, you know, a gutting knife or something like that. First of all, it's a fixed blade because you're going to pack this thing with all kinds of goo, especially if you've ever done a Benchmade. You get all kinds of fish guts and stuff stuck in these things. You have to hose them out and dry them. But the blade here, if you're gutting a fish and you've got a tip like that, it can be good for some really fine stuff. But if you're sticking this into the belly and you want to work it along the base of the fish, you know, from the head back or the tail forward, sometimes that little tip can puncture some other stuff inside there. So depending on how you're doing, you know, something like this, I can come in and actually keep that tip a little bit more out of the way. Or if I'm around a lot of lines or nets or things like that, I would definitely want a serrated knife, or at least partially serrated, simply because, especially if you got wet rope or something like that, You must have just the absolute sharpest knife to cut through it, and even then sometimes it doesn't want to go. It does have a lanyard hole here, pretty pronounced, great big lanyard there. Anyway, I was impressed with this. It's a good, fine knife. I wasn't sure what to think. I don't know who's making them for Klein Tools, but maybe they're going to bring back their outdoor brand idea and produce some really good stuff. Milwaukee does that as well too. They make a high-end line. They're like $60 to $80 for the Milwaukee, outdoor pocket knives. Most of us, are interested in the more the shop knives by those tool companies, and then we go with the dedicated knife brands for the real stuff. But I'm impressed with this. I don't have any complaints about it, and I kind of like it. If I was going to do this myself, if Klein hired me to do that, I would probably work on the handle just a little bit more. And I don't know how durable that's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be like in absolute freezing cold weather if you drop it or something. That's where G10, doesn't have to be carbon fiber, but G10 I think would be a nice step up. And I know Klein knows all about G10, especially its electrical insulative properties. But anyway, there it is. This is the OKF000 ORT, or the Klein Fishing Pocket Knife. And with that, Doc out.